Acrobat Mission is a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up arcade game that was first released in 1991 by the Japanese game developer UPL. Although not as well known as some of the other titles in the shoot 'em up genre, like Gradius or R-Type, Acrobat Mission still holds a special place in the hearts of retro gamers, offering its own unique blend of gameplay mechanics and aesthetic design. The game was later ported to home consoles like the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES, and the Famicom, bringing it to a broader audience. Story and plot. The plot of Acrobat Mission follows a classic space battle scenario. The player takes on the role of a pilot in a high-tech spacecraft, tasked with stopping an alien invasion threatening the galaxy. Although the storyline is quite simple and typical for arcade games of the time, it provides the necessary setup for the intense action that follows. As the game progresses, the player encounters waves of enemies, each more difficult than the last, as well as large and challenging boss fights. The mission is clear. Destroy everything in your path and stop the alien forces from advancing. There isn't a lot of detailed story development beyond that, as most shoot 'em up games from the early 90s focus more on gameplay than narrative depth. Gameplay mechanics. Acrobat Mission is a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up, meaning the screen constantly moves from bottom to top, and the player controls a spaceship that navigates through various stages filled with enemy forces. The player's primary objective is to shoot down enemies while avoiding enemy fire and environmental hazards, like walls and obstacles. The player's ship starts with basic weaponry, but as the game advances, you can pick up power-ups that enhance your firepower. Power-ups play a crucial role in these types of games because they give you access to better weapons, such as missiles that track enemies, lasers that cover more ground, bombs that can clear large areas of enemies. Additionally, the ship's speed can be adjusted, which adds an extra layer of strategy to the gameplay. Players must balance speed with control, as moving too fast might result in colliding with enemies or projectiles, while moving too slow can make it harder to dodge enemy fire. One unique aspect of Acrobat Mission is that the player can adjust the speed of their ship. This allows for more precise control during intense battles, adding an extra tactical layer to the game. Adjusting your speed at the right moment can be the difference between life and death in the later levels. Levels and boss fights. Acrobat Mission consists of multiple levels, each with its own unique set of enemies, environmental designs, and challenges. As is common in the shoot 'em up genre, each level culminates in a boss battle, where the player faces a much larger and stronger enemy that requires strategy and careful movements to defeat. The bosses in Acrobat Mission are a highlight, with some of them featuring organic designs that stand out compared to the more robotic or mechanical enemies seen in other shoot 'em up games. These bosses typically take up a large portion of the screen and have multiple attack patterns that make defeating them challenging but rewarding. As the player progresses through the game, the difficulty increases significantly, with more enemies on screen at once and more complex attack patterns from the bosses. This escalating difficulty keeps the player engaged and ensures that the later stages provide a significant challenge even for experienced players. Graphics and design. For its time, Acrobat Mission featured solid graphics and sound design. The graphics are simple but effective, with colorful environments and enemies that are easily distinguishable from the background. The enemy designs are varied, with a mix of mechanical ships and more organic-looking creatures. This mixture of design styles gives the game its own personality, setting it apart from other space shooters of the time. The game's sound effects are also typical for arcade games of the era, with satisfying explosion sounds and energetic music that matches the pace of the action. While the soundtrack is not as iconic as some other arcade games, it does a good job of keeping the adrenaline high as players navigate the chaotic battlefield. Arcade and console releases. Acrobat Mission first appeared as an arcade game in 1991. Like many arcade games of the time, it featured fast-paced, action-packed gameplay that was designed to capture the attention of players quickly and keep them engaged with increasing difficulty. Due to the popularity of arcade games at the time, Acrobat Mission was eventually ported to home consoles, including the SNES and Famicom. The SNES version, released in 1992, stayed relatively faithful to the original arcade version, although there were some necessary graphical downgrades and adjustments made to fit the capabilities of home consoles. Despite these limitations, the game still managed to capture the essence of the arcade version. Players who enjoyed the original arcade version were pleased to have the opportunity to play the game at home. Although some of the more hardcore shoot 'em up fans found the home console versions a bit easier than their arcade counterpart. Nonetheless, it became a good entry point for players new to the genre. Reception and legacy. Although Acrobat Mission didn't achieve the same level of fame as some of its contemporaries, it received generally positive reviews from players and critics alike. Fans of the shoot 'em up genre appreciated its straightforward gameplay, tight controls, and challenging bosses. However, some players and critics noted that it lacked some of the depth and innovation seen in other popular shoot 'em ups like R-Type and Gradius. For fans of the genre, Acrobat Mission is remembered as a solid and enjoyable game, even if it didn't push the boundaries of the shoot 'em up formula. Its simplicity made it accessible to a wide audience, and its challenging gameplay ensured that it remained engaging throughout. Today, Acrobat Mission is considered a hidden gem in the shoot 'em up genre. While it may not have the widespread recognition of other classic arcade games, it still holds nostalgic value for those who played it during its initial release. Its inclusion in various home console libraries has helped to preserve its legacy, allowing new generations of players to discover it. Conclusion. In summary, Acrobat Mission is a fun and challenging vertical scrolling shoot 'em up game that was first released in 1991 in arcades and later ported to consoles like the SNES and Famicom. While it may not have achieved widespread recognition, it remains a well-designed game with solid mechanics, interesting boss fights, and a satisfying gameplay experience. Its straightforward approach makes it accessible for newcomers to the genre, while the increasing difficulty ensures that even experienced players will find it engaging. If you're a fan of retro shoot MUPS, Acrobat Mission is definitely worth checking out for its tight controls and classic arcade feel. If you liked the video, subscribe, like, and write to me in the comments, what do you want to be the next arcade game that we will learn the story of? Until next time, be well.